All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Ebony again, a.k.a. Fit Mom Diva of Simplicity Health Style. And today we have Miss Mona with us. How are you, Mona?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and sharing some jewels with us that we don't often get to hear. And for those of you that choose to stick around to the end, you will have an opportunity to earn a complimentary gift. That's our appreciation for you taking time and listening to the jewels that Miss Mona wants to share with us today. So, Mona, can you start us off so that we get to know you a little bit better and share a motivational quote that really inspires you, something that encourages you and gets you going?
I would have to say one quote that I live by is by Colin Powell, and it says, "A dream doesn't become a reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work." And I feel like that speaks volumes just in itself with those few words.
Yeah, I think that sometimes we expect for things to happen in our lives and it sounds good and everything, but we're not always willing to put in the work to allow it to actually occur. And we're wondering, well, why isn't this happening for me? And we have to
Right.
sometimes reflect and say, well, are you putting in the necessary work to allow it to happen? And sometimes we're not. As much as we would like to think that we are, sometimes we're not.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your own experiences where perhaps you really wanted something to happen and you said to yourself, I want this to happen by this date, or this is my goal or my dream, and you had some things come in and you just didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but at the end of the day, after you did put in the work, you were able to see that goal or that dream to fruition?
I would really say going to college. For me, things are a bit different as far as going to college because I was adopted by my aunt, and she did do some schooling, and then the man that she was married to, he did some schooling. And college has kind of been talked about, but there was never a how do you like set yourself up to go to college. So that's something where it's like everyone goes to college, and it's just something you feel like it's naturally supposed to happen. I was never told like how do you get funding, and my parents are kind of older, so it's much different too with when they did go to college. And my dad did the services mainly, so he doesn't really know much at all. um but for me, in that time, I had to figure out some things, and I do have some siblings from my mom that I also refer to as my aunt. And I kind of talked to them, but like I said, like the age gap was a big issue. So I had to go out on my own and find resources on how to figure out just something as simple as how do I go to college? How do I fund it? What do I need to be doing while I'm in high school to get the grades to go to wherever I want to go, and just kind of figuring all of that out by myself.
Yeah, and it could be extremely overwhelming when you don't have enough people around you that have gone through the process before. And particularly with certain schools where they kind of expect you to figure things out. They're there to help, but they're also there to say, well, we have a lot of other students and we can't handhold you the whole way through. So being able to find the resources yourself, be resourceful, it really carries you further. Can you talk a little bit about how people can gain support? Because sometimes, as you just mentioned, we have these different dreams and visions
Mm.
and goals. And we sometimes feel like, well, the people around me, they would like to help me, but they really don't know how to help me because they've never experienced this before, or this isn't their
Mm.
area of expertise. So, how can we step outside the box sometimes and find the help that we need in order to be successful in whatever that endeavor is?
So the first thing I would say for me that I had to realize was that I needed help.
Yeah.
I felt like that was the key step because I feel like a lot of people feel like, oh, I got this, I got this, I got this. And yes, you do have it, but you also need to have it with maybe someone else that's more knowledgeable about whatever it is you're trying to do. And that was kind of hard for me because my mom, she suffers from depression, so that led to me having to do a lot of things on my own. And then with her and her husband getting a divorce, that was kind of hard. So it's just me and my mom in the house, and most of the times really just me in the house by myself. um Even though she was there, it was like that wasn't someone like I could really rely on to get everything done. So once I realized, hey, you kind of need help, and yes, you're independent because you've had to be, but you also need to go out and seek people that are more knowledgeable on things like college to help you. So that's when I started making more connections with my teachers in high school. They would set me up with internships with my prospective career, which was dental, just so I can start even before I go to college, figuring out what I want to do when I go to college. So maybe I can get some funding that way. And that led to me getting like STEM scholarships. Um, and also, I joined the STEM program in high school and graduated with a STEM diploma just from talking to teachers and figuring out ways just to get me up there, so I can get more funding, get more knowledgeable, get more educated. So when I got to college, I could even expand from there and make more connections with people that see, oh, she has this on her resume, and she could be someone I could possibly use for something else, and I can use them for their knowledge. So just like a handoff and trade, with people, just figuring out how to get where I need to be.
Yeah. And when you grow up in a household where if you have someone in the household that is kind of distant, whether they're depressed or not, but they're just distant, you might feel like, oh my gosh, well, the people that, can help me the most really don't care. Or maybe they do care, but they're just so in their own world that they don't have the energy sometimes to really care the way you want them to. So I think that for some people, they say things like, well, I would do XYZ if my family or my friends or whomever would help me out. But sometimes you're able to find people in social media networks or in meetup groups in your local community. These days, there are so many different groups out there that you would not even know existed unless you went out to look for them. And oftentimes, you can receive a lot more support from people that are perfect strangers. That's what
Yeah.
I've seen. I've uh, I've joined groups online in different interest areas and made friends with people online that there is no way in the world I would have ever established that relationship if I was only looking within my own family or my own friend network here locally. So just knowing that there's a big world out there that can really support you in your endeavors, and many people are happy to do so. I think that's important. Can you talk a little bit about the relationship between self-care and realizing our dreams? Because you talked a little bit about or you mentioned your mom having depression, and there are times where you might not have depression, but you just might be very low in energy. We sometimes live in a fast-paced lifestyle society where self-reflection and time to ourselves is not always something that's prided. So how can we establish a self-care regimen so that we're more likely to put forth the energy that we need in order to carry out whatever it is that we're aspiring toward?
So for me, that was something I really realized, that I thought that I had a good like self-care regimen, like as far as maybe like I would read like a good book or something like that. But I realized that a lot of times when I was doing that, even as a child, that I was kind of doing that to escape reality. And the point of self-care is not, in my mind, it's not to escape reality, but more so like something that just kind of deters you for a little bit and gives you time to reflect. So once I realized that, mostly like all my life I've kind of been like just kind of pushing things to the side and finding something where I just disappear. I realized how unhealthy that was. So this year I've really focused on um mainly like seeking counseling and more so like finding myself and what do I like to do, because I realized like most of my life I've just done whatever I needed to do or whatever other people needed me to do for them. And with this year, that kind of led me to realize like I haven't ever dabbled in anything other than what I told I've always wanted to be, which is a dentist. So that led to me kind of looking at other careers and like just kind of figuring out myself. And in between that, like figuring out what self-care is in between all this mess of me trying to figure out who I am, do well in school, work jobs so I have like income. And just from talking with the therapist, I figured out like I love to run. Like, and that's something I would never like imagine myself liking to do, just because I've always like played sports, but it's always been like you have to play sports, like forced to play sports. But
Right.
like I love to run. Like, just I live in Charleston, and like just running to the battery is like something that just gives me time to not only just run and get out those toxins, but also like reflect and just think about like everything that I have going on. And then also with that, like I still like to read, but I like to do it more on like, before I would like read one book like in a day, but now I like to take my time and like kind of divulge in a book and like reflect on it, like what was the book about, and talk, like me and my friends will like all get the same book and talk about it amongst each other, kind of like a book club, but not um oops, sorry, like a book club but not. And just doing those things, figuring out like what you like and like what gives you time to like reflect, but also like just pure enjoyment.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned take your time with reading the book and actually like really allowing it to sink in as opposed to just whizzing through it just for the sake of saying, "Oh, I was able to read a book in a day," you know.
Mm-hmm.
And as you were saying that, I was thinking about, just different areas of our life that we sometimes want to whiz through it and we don't always fully enjoy the moment. And some moments when I look back on them, I'm like, man, I could have really enjoyed that so much better than what I did. But I was so concerned about the next moment and worrying about all the other things going on around me that I wasn't really fully present in the moment. So I think that sometimes we can miss moments just because we're so busy trying to think about the next thing that's coming up or think
Right.
about all the different things around us that really are sometimes out of our control. I often tell people that, we can simply, always race to the next moment and achieve everything that's on our list and look back and say, well, what did I really do? I don't even remember what I did. I did all these things. I really don't remember any of it. Or we could say, maybe I didn't get there as fast as what I wanted to, but everything that I've done, I've actually fully been present and enjoyed the moment. And I feel fulfilled with the moment. So it's our choice. It's always our choice. Can you share just real quickly? I want to have ladies listen to you about how you made your decision about becoming a dentist and maybe some thoughts that have
Mm.
occurred while you've been in your program that maybe you felt like, well, is this really the right thing for me? Am I wasting
Mm.
my time with this? And are there other things that really fit me better? But because I started it, I'm going to continue on with it? Or have you always just felt like, this is it? This is actually what I want to do?
So for me, I feel like it's always been a question in my mind, like going through these 4 years, because there's so many sciences where it's like, ugh, do I really want to do this? But for me, like this past summer was really like, I guess kind of like my breaking point with where I need to really decide, like, is this something I want to do? Like before I go into my senior year, I went to Spain, and like the second day there, like I just could not breathe. And then I ended up going to the emergency room, and I found out that I had a really bad case of pneumonia. Like my lungs were over half full, and I was completely unaware of this. And it was just kind of like I was kind of at my tipping point where I had been like before that been so busy trying to get things done for dental school and like had family stuff going on. That was kind of just like that was just like my breaking point. And then also in that, I didn't really have anything familiar around me. So it was like really hard to go through that and feel so isolated. But like in that time of isolation, like I was kind of angry. And for me, like being that angry and being a religious person, it was kind of hard to, I guess, kind of take in all this, like, why is this happening to me? And it just made me overall just reflect, like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I could have died from this. Like, I got on a plane for 9 hours and I had my lungs this filled with fluid. And from there, it was kind of like, I don't want to do something that I'm not going to be happy with for the rest of my life. So when I got back, I had a job and I had an internship and also some other summer classes that I was doing. So I knew it was going to be very busy. And I also had to recover from the pneumonia. And from there, it was just kind of like while I was working at the hospital, like it was starting to be like, let's make connections again and figure out like, is there something else I want to do? So I started like working at a school to see if maybe teaching was something I would like to do. I also worked at uh, another office doing reception stuff, and I figured out like that wasn't for me. Then I worked at a nonprofit, and I just worked with getting people resources that were less fortunate. And I also worked at a hospital, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to be a doctor. And then, of course, as always, I did some more shadowing at a dental office, and it's like it just seemed like that fit, but I still needed to make sure like it's something that I want to put time and money into. And from there, it was like I have these courses that I know I have to take, like I'm in my senior year. And I got in my courses and I realized the thing that was missing was just I was getting tired out. I was just so busy doing all this other stuff, trying to make everything like perfect for my dental school application. And I just realized, like, from talking to my sister, because she was naming all these careers that I would be able to do with my major, because I decided to be non-traditional and do public health for my major and a minor in studio art. And I just realized, like, I was just tired. That was the only thing. She was naming all these careers. Well, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this, you can do that. And she's a lawyer, and we've talked about that too, even. And it just seemed like I want to be a dentist. Like, and that's that. It's just like when the going gets tough, I have to remember like that's what I want to do, and I'm gonna have to work hard for it. Just like if I did anything else, I would have to work hard for it. Like I can't take the easy way out.
Yeah, and I think that is so important that you mentioned your process, because a lot of times, you may hear that somebody says, "This is the career I've chosen for myself," or "This is the anything that someone's chosen for themselves," but you didn't realize that they went through a process of exploring different options to get there. And I think that it's awesome to be able to try out a multitude of things, and you real quickly can decipher for yourself, this is not it, or yeah, I think this is it. Let me explore this a little bit more. But through the experiences, you real quickly get to understand what you definitely don't like. I know that for myself, I was one semester from graduating from my undergraduate program, and I was like so fortunate that I had to do an internship, because if I hadn't done the internship, I probably would have graduated with that degree and then been like applying for a job, and then on day one been like, man, this sucks. you
Mm-hmm.
know so I had applied for, I had started a internship working in a hospital as a assistant doing medical social work, and on paper it looked like it might be interesting, and I got in there and I was bored to tears the first week. I got out of it and I changed my major, and fortunately I had enough classes in my new major that I could still graduate on time by just shifting some things around that last semester. But I always tell people that, experimenting with new things is what's going to be able to help you determine what your core purpose is and what your career path should be. Because if we just stick with one thing just because somebody else said it was going to be lucrative, that's what the family has always done, or, and you didn't experiment for yourself, chances are it may not be something that you really fully enjoy. There could be something else out there that really meshes well with you. So thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. Any of you that are listening also, if you feel like, I don't really know, I don't really understand my true talents and my gifts and what I want to put out there into the world, and you need help with that, I told you at the beginning of this episode that if you stuck around to the end, you would have an opportunity to earn a complimentary gift. In the description box, you'll see a link to my Nutrition for Busy Women Facebook group, as well as all of my contact info. So reach out to me if you feel like you need a little bit more direction and understanding what your true talents and gifts are and personality type is, so that you can make more focused decisions. It's so much easier and more efficient when you know a little bit more about yourself to make more focused decisions. I really do appreciate you, Mona. You shared some good stuff with us. And for those of you listening, if you feel like you want to share your experiences, your failures, your successes, your challenges, whatever you feel that might impact other ladies, reach out to me, and I would love to connect with you and interview you as well for one of our future episodes. And Mona is also welcome to people collaborating with her. Mona, is there a particular type of person that you would prefer to interact with, or are you pretty much open to whomever?
I'm open to whomever.
Awesome. So you heard it from the horse's mouth. She is open to connecting. So if you guys feel like you don't have anybody else out there to help support you in your endeavors, I am definitely welcoming you into my community and getting to know me a little bit more intimately as I get to know you and Mona as well, and all of her contact info in the description box as well. Thank you so much, Mona. Can you just last things said, just encourage ladies that feel like, I heard everything you said, Mona, that sounds all well and fine, but I just need a little bit of I need some encouraging words to just get me going. Can you just offer some last closing encouraging words?
I would just say, don't give up. And also, when the going gets tough, remember what you're working towards and make sure that's something that you love. And then lastly, I would just say that just remember always, even when you think there isn't anyone that is there to support you, anyone that loves you, when you're in those moments, just remember that there might be someone that you don't even notice if you're in a class or something, someone that's just random that if you were missing, they would notice. So just always remember that, and that you're loved by people that you don't even realize, and that you support people on a daily basis that you don't even realize. And just keep going, because eventually you'll get to your goals.
Yes, thank you for those last words. I think that is so crucial, particularly in this day where people just seem very busy with their own thing. And sometimes we feel like, oh, nobody cares about me. People care. They just might be busy in their world at that particular time. So thank you. I really appreciate you sharing that. And as I said, for those of you that are interested in sharing a part of your life and your challenges so that you can encourage ladies all around the world, reach out to me, and I would love to have you on one of our future episodes. And if you believe that this can empower other women that you know in your community, please share this out so that they can be encouraged today as well. Wherever you are in the world, always remember to live a life full of meaning and purpose, and I will connect with you in our next episode. I'll talk to you soon.